What do the Europeans think? Are they ready to go to war over this?
Well, the question is if you want to start World War III.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Lee Roger Wolfgram, and I am a storyteller.
Welcome to the bunker.
We have Jonas Gahr here, who is as you know, the Prime Minister of Norway. He's a great gentleman, highly respected, beloved in his country. And we've had talks on the war with Ukraine and Russia and trade. We're doing very well, I think, on both. We've had some pretty good movement in every respect. The war is very important that it ends with, I used to say, 2,500 people a week dying, young people, mostly soldiers from Russia and Ukraine. And we want to end that war. We want to end it quickly. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And we'll see what happens. This next few days is going to be very important. Meetings are taking place right now.
I was one of the very few Americans that have ever even gone to Ukraine during the war, and I was one of the first on a mission of loyalty to assist my Ukrainian soldier friends. My friend Lieutenant Colonel Boris was evacuating his family, and we had to get other valuable items from his family, his history, out of the country. And the Russians had attacked, but they hadn't quite got to Boris yet, so I flew as quickly as possible. The Ukrainian army had coordinated my arrival. The checkpoints knew I was coming. I had passwords. But I was coming back into a combat zone because these soldiers stood by me in Iraq. These soldiers had assisted Americans during the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The Ukrainians had taken more casualties than any other of the international forces. But when I arrived at the border, something changed. I felt this eerie feeling familiar to me. Although they knew I was coming, the initial soldiers didn't know why I was there, and they pulled my military backpacks off and searched me. The entire bus had their noses pressed against the windows. They thought I was a spy. Once I told them what I was doing and who I was coming to see, I was allowed to board the bus with a crisp salute. I was only permitted to record things by the Army that were already public. Respecting the operational security of the Ukrainian Army, I limited my recording once I was inside the country. Familiar. This sign reads, "Free food for soldiers," but my meal had been prepared by my comrades, the ones, again, that stood beside me in time of need for my country.
Did you make Alexei? Did he make you?
And now I came to do whatever I could do.
For victory.
This was Alexei's apartment that he got when he retired from the Ukrainian Army. That's Boris and I in 2003.
Okay, see. We were on a magazine.
Traditional officer gathering in the Ukrainian Army does involve vodka and toast after toast.
Oh, President, okay. And Gerald. Gerald, look at this.
Yaroslav had heard my tales of Thailand, and he had gone full bore back into the army. We knew war. We wanted peace.
We're going to Thailand after the war.
I would never have a toast with Yaroslav again.
So the
We've heard air
sirens
raids
are
many
sounding.
times.
I don't know if you can hear it.
But then things changed.
I think if we weren't soldiers, we'd be running for...
Things were getting serious.
There was explosion. All right. Well, there was explosions, so we'll have to see what happens now.
They had now made it to the Russian attacks had now made it to Odessa and continued through the night. But because of curfew, we weren't permitted to leave the country until the next morning. So I got a first-hand seat to the war within the first days of the war. Yaroslav, he was destined for the front lines, proudly serving. For him, it was all or nothing. Yaroslav was killed in September of 2023. He never made it to Thailand like so many other soldiers in this war. And I wanted to have a discussion that wasn't motivated by political bias, but with my soldier friends that had seen the front lines, flag to flag, shoulder to shoulder. And so I called them up to see.
I think it's important. The reason I want to talk to you guys was just as my friends, but I think it's a big deal now what the world's perception is, Europe's perception is, Boris's perception is as a soldier in Ukraine. And so that's why I really wanted to talk to you guys, because I know you guys, I see all this stuff on the news, and I know they're here in the States, there's a big, like Europe needs to do more of their own. Europe needs to, step up and do more. And I just kind of wanted to get a little bit of what you're hearing there as far as the war in the United States. Like, what's the general feeling about Trump and the war and about settling the war? And that's why, because I remember Boris telling me the soldiers were tired. They've been in the field fighting for now years. And, when I was over there before, when we were having dinner, I was all like, well, we got to go got Putin. And it was Boris that kind of mentioned that, that's all great, but it's the soldiers are been in the field. There's no Americans second wave or Dutch second wave. It's just poor Ukrainians, and the second wave are the guys they just recruited. So seeing I have those connections to you guys, just as a friend, I wanted to see how you guys see it there in Europe. Like, what is what does Europe think about what to do now in terms of general sentiment, I guess. Just tell me what you see what I'm asking. So yeah, tell me what
Well, interesting question, Lee.
That's a very long question, I know.
But well, to start with, we as Europeans must be, when we like to visit you, we must be very careful, since your border control is downloading all the laptops and computers, and telephones to find Trump. Looking for the word, it's Trump criticizing sentence on your phone, and then the immigration officer, he can simply send you back and saying, well, we don't like you. He doesn't have to explain it. They send Germans away, they send French people away. It's terrible at the border.
And that's what you're hearing. So you're hearing people in Europe are not being allowed entry into the United States.
Correct.
They're afraid that they're going to be checked, because that's what you're hearing over there that we're doing. Do you know anybody that actually got checked from Europe?
Yeah, it's documented in the newspapers. It's French scientists and so.
Well, no, I don't give a fuck about the news. That's my point, Gerald. I don't believe the news. That's why I'm asking you guys, because the news, it depends on which channel here you watch. So there's definitely a left bent and a right bent here. And so you got to watch BBC, you got to watch CNN, you got to watch Fox. And then between the three of them, maybe you can figure out what's common between them. But if you go to one, you're just going to hear Trump sucks. You go to the other one, Trump's great. You go to the European one, and it sounds like, you know, the Europeans are pretty upset about it, but I don't know what's actually happening. That's just what I'm hearing. That's why I wanted to ask you guys. So do you know anybody that got like went, or are you just the stuff you're getting on the news is what you're telling me? That's the news in Europe is don't go to the USA. They're going to check all your shit and scientists get sent back. I mean, well, seriously, guys. I mean, here's the problem. We talked about this in Iraq. You know, if even now Europe is being invaded by all the refugees of the world, and at some point they're going to overwhelm Europe as well, because everybody, whether it's from Ukraine or whether it's from Middle East or even the guys that you had in Holland before, then they come and they're stuck. They're stuck. You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, having a good border control, I think Europe needs it too, to be honest with you, about who comes in and who comes out. And I don't think, and as far as, you know, my perspective as American is, if you want to come here and start shit, just fucking do it at home. We don't need it. It's not a free country for you. It's a privilege to come here as a guest. And if you want to come here and you want to start raising hell and pissing everybody off, or a puppet for the electronic warfare that's being used to divide us all right now, you know, we just don't need it. So just don't come. We don't need you.